Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the It's Needed podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement in the community. It's your boy Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Bears United, and I'm joined by the light-skinned wonder himself, Mr. Oh No Stapopo.
Dun, 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 dun. What's up, brother? What's
there
up?
He is. What is going on? We are also joined by the producer himself, Mr. Billy Stuckman. What's going on, buddy?
I got 2 sick kids, so life's not going very well.
I know how it is, bro. I know how it is, man. My kids have been sick the last few weeks.
And you got 87 kids, so I can't imagine all 87 of your kids being sick, man.
I know, but he's still riding those stimulus checks from all those kids.
Oh,
so
Are we still getting paid per
I think
kid?
we got paid today.
You got a stimulus check today?
Yeah, you get the 15th of every month until the end of the year.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious, bro.
About to buy some Ethereum right now.
Know it, bro. Right now, hey, prices is going. It's a great day to buy today, bro. It's a red market, bro.
Let me check my bank account real quick. Look,
Hey, if you got
I didn't
kids,
get nothing. Hey, Biden, I got 2 kids.
Hey,
all right, come on.
If you
Ryan
got
said-
kids, bro. If you got kids.
Ryan said, I think we got paid
yeah,
today.
man, that stimmy hit today. I think it did. It's the 15th of every month.
Maybe white people get it like later, you know?
No, if anything, y'all get it first. Yeah,
Not with this administration. Maybe the last administration.
Bro.
I ain't getting no stimmy today, bro.
Bruh, I gotta look. I hope
Nah,
I did,
don't.
bro, because I was going broke.
No, don't big me up, excite me, and then I need.
Man,
Buy it with
I
my
played in the
stimmy
poker
hat.
tournament for the first time the other day, and I
Dang,
was
bro, You do all sorts of rich people stuff, man. I just want to live like you.
No,
one day. Like,
first of
you
all,
a
this was
poker
for the
tournament.
kids.
He just has all sorts of fun. I feel like I don't get to do anything.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm either like editing or I'm watching.
Hey,
I'm with my kids. Like,
hey.
that's all I do.
Hey, I put my time in, bro. My kids are self-sufficient. Me and Kimberly, the kids at home by themselves,
Like, I
bro.
hiked the Appalachian Trail today, and
You got some hot pockets in the freezer, kids.
Yeah, bro.
Take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself. No, this was actually for the kids, man. We, my nephew, he's on a baseball team, so they're going to the World Series, Little League World Series in Florida. So they had to do fundraisers. So they had a poker tournament.
That's
so,
cool.
Nice.
So it was actually pretty cool, man. I was kind of mad though, man. Fair or foul, but
Foul.
this old lady was making me so mad at my table. She was playing so slow, and your boy got ADD, bro. So I'm like, everybody giving her the eye. You know when people just getting like upset and uncomfortable, people
Yeah.
are just getting tired of them.
Nana, we know you got nothing.
Yeah.
Put it down.
Yes, bro. That's exactly, bro. And then like every time she's looking at her hand, we're like, are you playing or are you out? Are you playing or are you out? And she's like, huh? And I'm like, lady,
put your cards down.
I'm losing my patience right now.
She's all in. You start knocking her
Yeah,
chips
bro.
in.
I almost moved her chips forward. Like she's all in.
Till she bust your head.
But she kept winning. Like
Full
that
house.
was the thing that made me mad.
She was
though.
playing you all.
Yeah, she's a
she
little
is.
hustler,
She's
bro.
a shark.
It's a little hustler. It's a little
Yeah,
shark.
she-
So, yeah, needless to say, man, I was one of the first to be off of our table, but I blame it on my ADD because I didn't have the patience to sit there, so I just started playing every hand, regardless of whether I had something or not. So,
See, I'm not good at poker, man, because like I'm too aggressive. So like I'm always like, oh yeah, are you all in? I'm all in too.
Yeah, me
And then
too,
I
me
know
too.
when I ain't got nothing in my hand, they're like, okay, well, you just lost again, AJ.
that's how it was for me too. That's how it was for me too. But anyways, so that's what was going on there. And then very cool news, exciting news for the podcast.
Yeah.
We are expanding. And so the studio that we've been operating out of is almost 2 years, right, Billy?
I think so.
It'll be 2 years in December that we made the move to the studio.
What?
Yeah, bro. It's been 2 years since we've been in the studio, and I think it's going to be 3 years. Actually, it was 3 years since we started the podcast, I think.
Yeah, in September, I think.
Bro, that's crazy. So, yeah, 3 years podcast.
Jeez.
It's been going in 2 years since we've been in the studio. So, what we're doing is we're actually knocking a wall out, and we're expanding the studio. So, it's going to be a bigger studio, which means that it's going to push us to raise the bar on our content level. So, you know, I'm giving in to what my wife has been saying. My wife has been saying my studio quality has been trash compared to AJ and everybody else's. So she's like, hey, y'all need to up your game up. So we're going to up the ante. And but what else is cool, though, is not only are we going to expand the studio, we're going to be getting our YouTube channel like going, so that way we're actually I want to make it some really good quality YouTube stuff, and then also maybe renting our studio out to people in the area if they want to come and film content and stuff like that.
There you go.
We're gonna make it so that way it's friendly for everybody if you want to come use our studio or whatever it may be. So more to hear from that. And then me and AJ and Billy were talking about it. Today's episode is actually going to be breaking down what's been going on in the news, and so we want to actually make our podcast more friendly for people to view ongoing current events by watching videos and doing live breakdowns and stuff like that. So we'll be transitioning hopefully by the beginning of the new year, our podcast as well. So
We got some big stuff coming. Big stuff coming. Like I'm genuinely excited about this, and we're expanding both ways because your boy's working on a studio here too, so it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice.
Exactly. So good stuff there. And other than that, I'm on the road tomorrow, and then be right back. And then I'm on the road at the end of the month. I'll be in Colorado tomorrow, and then I'll be back. Then I'll be in Arizona at the end of the month for Brandon Tatum's thing. Then flying from Arizona to Texas, and then from Texas back home.
When is that? The end of this month?
End of this month. Yeah, you gonna make it out?
What? I forgot. What day is that?
Hold on, I'll tell you right now. It is going to be.
If he's asking what day, he's not coming.
Yeah, that's pretty much. It is the 30th, November 30th. So I'm gonna fly out real quick. And then I got to be in Texas the very next day. So
yeah, I will not be there. I will not be there, brother. I will not.
But it is what it is, guys.
There.
So good stuff coming. Anyways, let's get right into it because I don't want to waste any other minutes talking about nonsense because I think what we're going to talk about today is pretty good stuff. We're going to talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse case that we've all been watching, which. It's been an interesting case to say the least. I mean, watching the prosecution, watching the defense, and it's really interesting as a police officer because usually as a police officer, anytime we take the stand, we're on the side of the prosecutors. Watching this trial, I feel like I would be more on the side of the defense because, long story short, I agree with, I don't think that Kyle Rittenhouse was there to murder these people, which is what he's being charged with. And we'll talk about why I feel that way. But I'd be interested to hear what, AJ and Billy has to say, and then also hear what you guys have to say through our comment section. So that's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do something a little different. So if you're listening to this, Billy's going to probably edit the video part out because you're not going to be able to obviously watch the video. So you guys won't hear any lag time from what we're going to do right now because we're going to watch the actual video itself. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see the video we're about to watch. But if you're listening to this in your car, you're not going to miss a beat because we're going to go right into the breakdown right now. So
and Billy's also going to edit that whole thing out as well, just in case you're wondering. So.
Yeah, so don't even worry about it. So anyways, that being said, we're going to go ahead. Me and AJ are actually going to watch this simultaneously because I think it's going to be good for us to kind of see what happens so that way we can discuss it. So.
He just shot them. Hey, dude right here just shot them. Dude right here just shot all them down there. That dude just shot them right there. That dude right here. Yeah. Get the fuck down there.
Injured straight ahead. Someone injured straight ahead. No! Get out of the road!
So let me give you guys the breakdown, and let me give you guys the context and setting if you were not familiar with the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing and why this actually occurred. So you get to give you some context. What happened a couple of days before? This was when Jacob Blake was shot in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and so this was the video that went viral where you see a white police officer shooting a black male as he's getting into his car. The video looked terrible. Now, if you guys don't follow me or on my Instagram account, I did a video almost immediately after this saying that we needed to wait, get all the context, figure out what happened. Even though we know it looks bad, there might be more information. So sure enough, the department did a very good job releasing the information to that situation days later, and we found out that the shooting was absolutely justified, seeing how Jacob Blake was out there. It was believed that he might be kidnapping a child. He was restrained from the people he was involved with. They received a call for service saying that he was trying to take one of the kids. Long story short, officers show up on scene. They know that he's wanted for his arrest, but they also know that there might be a kid in the vehicle that he's getting into. On top of that, they tried to tase him a few times. It didn't work. And then so he gets into his vehicle and he reaches for a knife in his car. And so the officer decides to utilize deadly force in order to stop that threat, preventing his escape as well, because there's also believed that there might be a kidnapping. So long story short, officer is justified in his shooting. But before this video had came out of the department giving context, the city had erupted in riots. And you got to realize this came on the heels of George Floyd, a few other, high profile shootings that occurred within law enforcement throughout the country. And so it was already like a ticking time bomb. So you see that video. There was a one actually that happened, I think, right around this time that in Ohio, if I'm not mistaken, where the officers had shot that girl, that young 13-year-old girl. I think this happened before that as well. So there was a lot of. It was a very fragile time. So the city goes up. So Wisconsin goes up in flames through riots. Everybody's out there rioting. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, you name it. And so now the eyes and the focus are on Wisconsin. So you move in a little bit closer to Wisconsin. This area is now being burned down like we saw all over the rest of the country when there was going riots. There was actually business owners locally that had took to social media and said, hey, our businesses are getting burned down. We need people to help us out. We need people to defend us. So that kind of allows us to move in on Kyle Rittenhouse. At the time in this event, Kyle Rittenhouse is 17 years old. He's out there with other members, which the media was trying to describe them as a militia and all this other stuff. Let me just be clear with one thing, guys. The guy was pro law enforcement. The kid was pro law enforcement. Anytime, I hate to say this, but anytime people try to refer to conservatives or Republicans, they always like to say right wing, extremists, this, and that. Almost try to make them seem like these people are violent terrorists. Kyle Rittenhouse said himself that they were out there to defend property. He also, in the trial, what we've been seeing is they're trying to say that he was an inexperienced teenager who was embellishing on who he was as far as he was a medic. They're trying to say, oh, he wasn't really a medic or anything like that. So he didn't really have life-saving skills, which if you ask me, that's irrelevant to what they're actually trying to argue in court. And so leading up to the shooting, Kyle Rittenhouse is out there. There's already a lot of tensions going on up into this point. And now, we can go back to the video here in a minute, but what kind of instigated the situation was a guy runs up, and I believe he throws a rock at Kyle. But Kyle is quickly surrounded by a whole bunch of people that are now trying to essentially go on the offense.
Well, and Kyle was out there days before this happened, actually painting over graffiti, helping people. He was literally putting out fires. Like, he was actually there to help.
So I actually just put up an interview because he was interviewed by like some reporter or someone out there actually interviewed him before all of this. So let me just play this really quick.
Yep.
The Antioch team that night. McGinnis was interviewed by police because he also witnessed one of the shootings.
People are getting injured, and our job is to protect this business, and part of my job is to also help you. If there's somebody hurt, I'm running into harm's way.
Independent journalist Richie McGinnis interviewed Kyle Rittenhouse the night police say the 17-year-old Antioch teen killed 2 people in Kenosha.
I don't know exactly what his motivations were. He did tell me that he was there to protect the peace and to provide medical attention. Are you from the area?
I am from the area.
What brought you out here tonight? You just wanted to provide medical attention?
Provide medical attention to people that need it. If somebody's injured, like, you get hurt, I'm grabbing you.
McGinnis is a witness cited in the criminal complaint filed.
So yeah, he was interviewed
Yeah, and this was before the actual shooting.
the day of, before the shooting. Yes.
Yes. So he's interviewed. His intentions are clear that, hey, I'm out there trying to help people. So going back to what I was saying, which I'm glad AJ brought that up, is they're trying to paint him out to be some right wing extremist who was out there looking for violence and looking to kill people. That's what they've been trying to paint him out as.
That's what they were saying.
And that's what they were saying, which if you look at, he was a cadet for the police department and all this other stuff. So let me tell you guys this, and this is, again, I want you, the rest of this podcast, just know that these are just our opinions. This is not, I don't want y'all to say, take our weight worth in gold and go and try to argue this or try to sue us in court. This is just our opinions. But the reality of it is this, is that the kid was a decent kid. And what I don't like is that they're trying to paint him out to be some bad kid who was out there trying to commit murders. Now, I will say this, as a parent, I would not allow my 17-year-old to go out to the streets and with an AR-15 and try to protect businesses. I mean, that's just me personally. I wouldn't allow my 17-year-old kid to go do that.
Do we know if his parents were aware?
I don't know. And so that's what I'm saying. That could be, they may not have been aware. They may have been aware. But so from that aspect, and let's just say his parents didn't know from the looking at Kyle Rittenhouse, I don't think it was the smartest thing to be out there. I know he had good intentions. I know he wanted to protect businesses and help people. But at 17 years old, there's a lot of dangers that come along with that, especially because you don't know who you're dealing with. And so I get, and I like the fact that he wanted to go help, but at the same time, was it the most smartest? That could be subjective. So needless to say, it doesn't remove the fact of what happened, why it happened, and what were his intentions. And so that's just a little bit of the foundation and the context of what has been going on. And so we watched the video, and once you watch that video, it happens very quickly, from Kyle running in the street and then people just basically going on the full-on assault of Kyle. I think I timed it was 22 seconds from the time the video starts to the time the first shot was fired, maybe a little bit quicker. You see a guy come in with a rock first of all. Then you see, which is one of the victims comes in with a skateboard, and I have the names of the victims here in a minute. And I say victims, I don't want to say victims because, that's neither here nor there. Aggressor. One of the aggressor comes in with a skateboard, which, if you ask me, a skateboard can be a deadly weapon, no doubt about it. You get hit in the head with a skateboard, not only can you go out and sustain fractures to your skull or whatever it may be, but let's just say you get hit with a skateboard, you have a weapon on you, and now they can take that weapon and use it against you. So, first and foremost, the skateboard can be used as a deadly weapon. The rock that was thrown at him could be used as a deadly weapon. And then you see the other aggressor come up at the very end with a handgun in his hand, and Kyle ends up shooting him as well. So that's where we're at. What are your guys' thoughts? What's your take? And then I'll give you guys my opinion. Go ahead. I'll let you start, AJ.
Okay. I'm going to try my very best to keep my opinion out of this. So I'll say this. All right. The video starts and you have Kyle Rittenhouse, who is 17 years old at the time, in possession of a long gun, AR-15, or I think it was just AR, Smith & Wesson.
Yeah, it was AR, yeah. The
video immediately starts off, what is Kyle Rittenhouse doing?
He's running.
He's
on the retreat.
Away.
He's running away from a mob of people. Okay? So at some point, one of the individuals runs up and hits Kyle, and he falls. Okay, now keep in mind, Kyle is holding a rifle. Okay, so Kyle rolls on his back, and this is on the video. Okay, so no one can say like, oh, you're right. So Kyle rolls on his back. As he's rolling on his back, another individual comes up and smacks him in the head with a skateboard. Okay. So then almost immediately after that, another individual walks up with him. And was this the one with the gun, or was the first one with the gun?
No, that third one, he points a gun at him.
Yeah. So the third one points a gun at him. Okay. Now all three of those individuals end up shot. That's me stating the factual part about this. Okay.
Yep.
Now let me say this. I'll never jump in a ring with a bull. You know why? Because they got horns. I know what horns do. You know how I know the bull got horns? Because I could see the horns. I'm not going to run up on somebody and grab their gun. I'm not going to try to hit them with something, right? Unless I'm in fear for my safety. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when I watch that video, I can't help but think, why would someone chase down another individual that has a deadly weapon on them? Like, what is your intent in that moment? Why would another person strike an individual who has a deadly weapon with an object in the head? Why would another individual pull a gun out, which is a deadly weapon, on another individual who has a bigger gun? These are all questions that I have when I watch this video. So I'll be honest with you, man. I watched that video for the first time in a while, probably like an hour before we started recording this. And I kind of got upset. And it really just shows like how polarized like we are as a country right now. The fact that people are trying to make this something that it's not, based off of political agendas.
Yeah.
And
everyone he shot was white. Not that should matter.
Yeah.
But every single one was white, and somehow we're trying to make it like he's some white supremacist.
And, which I don't understand. And we had people who claimed that they were medics during our riots here. Now, do I know if they had medical backgrounds? No. Were they actual medics for the fire department? No. They had patches that said they were medics, and they had these little kits with, the first aid sign on them. And they were down there claiming that they were medics. Now, something that I seen firsthand from some of these medics were they were handing out water bottles. No harm, no foul, right? Except these water bottles were frozen. And they were handing these individuals, telling them to throw at us, right? So it's just interesting how people can pick and choose. Well, he wasn't really a medic, but no one said that about, the medics who were passing out frozen water bottles. And actually, there was a news article here. I'll have to see if I can find it. Actually, I'm going to try to pull it up now, where they were trying to say that the police were a militia because you saw officers dumping out water bottles and like destroying them because they were frozen. And they actually defended them in this article saying like, oh, these were medics' waters. So it's interesting how in one breath, hey, these were medics. And you're destroying their waters. But then in this breath, he wasn't really a medic.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to pull up another video here. But before I pull up that video, because I want to make a comparison to something, I think it's important to understand what they're charging Kyle with. So they're they're charging him with, let me see. They're charging him with, where did it go in my article? I think it was murder, intentional murder, unintentional murder, and an attempted intentional murder. Which you got to understand something. For murder to be for you to be charged with murder, you have to have malice aforethought, and what that means is it's premeditated. Like
he went there to kill people.
Yeah, he went there to kill people, and that's what the prosecutor is trying to say, that he went there with this agenda, with a rifle, to go kill all these people. Blah 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 blah. You can clearly see, and even with that interview with the reporters, you can clearly see what his mindset was. Is, hey, I'm here to help people out. Regardless of whether or not you think a 17-year-old should be out there with a rifle or not, that's neither here nor there. That's subjective. His intent was clearly, hey, I'm here to help people out, and if somebody's getting hurt, I'm gonna run in. He said, I'm gonna be running towards it. You know what I mean? So first, we have to establish that side of it. The second thing is that let me tell you something. If Kyle Rittenhouse were to be found guilty, do you understand how polarizing that would be as a country? Because now what it's saying is we no longer have the right to self-defense. And that's not even, that's not even getting into who the people were that were attacking him, because those guys actually had rap sheets as well.
I got him written down too.
The first one was a sex registrant, so he was a felony sex registrant
with a minor.
So meaning he was not allowed to have possession of a firearm.
Now, which one was he? Which one was he? Let's break this down, because
he was the one reaching for the gun, not the one with the gun.
Yes.
So he's one of the ones that died.
Yes.
Yes.
You have another guy who was also a felon, who had just recently got out. Is that there was one? Is that
like
the same
he
guy?
got out like that night from a mental hospital?
Hospital, because he attempted to commit suicide.
Do we know which one he was?
I have it written down.
Did he die? Was it Anthony Huber? Yeah, because Gage is the one that's alive.
So Huber was the man swinging a skateboard at Rittenhouse before he was shot.
And he was convicted of strangulation and repeat domestic
there
abuse.
It is. Yep.
And repeat what?
Domestic abuse.
Okay.
Groskowitz had a gun in his hand as he stepped towards Rittenhouse and was shot.
And when he was on the stand, he admitted that Kyle did not pull the trigger until he raised the gun at him.
Yeah.
But then did you see him going on Good Morning America and CNN retracting that? He was like, I was nervous, but he shot me before I raised. He's lying.
Yeah.
He's
I didn't
lying in
see
one
that.
of the
I didn't see
instances.
that.
Yeah.
And then you have the 2 people killed were identified, and then Joseph Rosenbaum was the other guy. So I want to play a quick video. I'm going to share my screen again, and I want to play something else because I want to see if you remember this, AJ, and we'll share it with the viewers here in a second.
Shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Shit. Look at y'all stupid. Came out with a sword.
So what we just watched that was in Dallas, and I'm gonna come back to you. That was in Dallas. That was a business owner attempting to guard his business from riots that occurred in Dallas. Now he went out there with a samurai sword. The crowd quickly surrounds him. So now we have the question of, does a business owner have the right to protect his property? That's a thing to talk about and we're switching gears obviously from the Kyle Rittenhouse because I want to make a point. But does a business owner have the right to protect his property? If you ask me, I have a right to protect my property. You know what I mean? It's my property, and I think that's constitutional rights. Secondly is the guy gets surrounded very quickly. This guy has a rock thrown at him, and this guy actually ends up succumbing to his wounds. He gets hit with the skateboard as well. This guy ends up dying. So Kyle Rittenhouse, being put in a very, very similar situation, gets surrounded with people. He has a rock thrown at him. A guy comes up with a skateboard, and not only the skateboard, another guy comes up to him with a firearm. Does Kyle Rittenhouse in that moment in time have the right to defend himself? If you ask me, he absolutely does, because if he does not defend himself with the weapon that he has, we have to ask ourselves a logical question is, are those people going to continue on the offensive against Kyle Rittenhouse, or are they going to cease with their actions? If you ask me, based on how that was erupting, based on everybody's behavior, and based off of training and experience from other riots that we've seen occur, that crowd was already riled up. They had no intentions to stop unless Kyle Rittenhouse defended himself in the way he did, which to me, there's no way you can put murder charges on somebody like Kyle Rittenhouse for defending himself. And that's where the argument comes. And we're going to show that video too, because I want you to see how this was a completely separate situation. You have another business owner, instead of having a rifle, he has a samurai sword, and he is legitimately attacked and killed. Beaten to death.
Because he didn't use a sword. And I guess that's the kicker. Okay. So, I'll just speak for here. Okay. If I buy a brand new car, okay, I buy a brand new $80,000 Mercedes Benz. I spent my life saving on it. Ryan gets mad at me because his internet sucks, and he comes over and starts destroying my car. I can't shoot Ryan. Because he's destroying my car. But if Ryan and I are on a podcast, his internet breaks up, and he goes, I'm mad. I'm about to come destroy your car. And I am hanging out by my car because I know you're on your way. I have a gun on me because I'm a police officer. I always carry a gun. If instead of my car, you start attacking me, at this point, now I have the right to defend myself. And I think that's the kicker in these videos. So I don't know much details about the second video you played in Dallas, other than I remember seeing it and I remember how disturbing it was. And I remember that he died. But what you see in that video is very comparable to what you see in the Kyle Rittenhouse video, which is he's trying to flee. Like he's running away from the mob. at one point, meaning, okay, I'm done. I don't want any more parts of what's going on, right? So say this guy was standing in front of his business with a samurai sword or whatever that big knife was, in hopes that this would scare people away from damaging his store, right? If I worked my entire life to buy a business, and this is how I feed my family, I'm probably going to try to defend my property as well, right? All within reason. Say that backfires. Say the mob goes, we're not scared of your sword. You know why? Because we have guns and really big rocks that we're going to throw at your head, like they did in that video. Once you get hit with a rock, you're like, okay, this isn't working. I'm going to try to run. Now the crowd begins to chase you. Okay. They catch you. They beat you repeatedly until you die. It's option one, right? You didn't use your weapon that you had. Option two, you run from the mob. They hit you repeatedly over the head. You use your weapon. You live. But now you might go to jail for a really long time. It's like, what options do you want? And I know that people out there are going to say, well, you shouldn't put yourself in that position. And I agree, but I don't at the same time. Because here's my reason with this is, one, and I'm speaking for me here, right? It's my right to bear arms. It is my right to bear arms. The judge just dismissed. So today is Friday the 15th. The judge just dismissed the illegal position. I'm sorry, what did I say? I said Friday. I'm sorry, it's
No
Monday.
worries.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
I appreciate you, Billy. The judge just dismissed the illegal possession of a firearm charge because there was a clause. Did you guys see that today?
Mm-hmm. I saw it was dismissed, but I don't know the clause.
So the clause is, you're allowed to be in possession of a long gun in between the ages of 16 and 18 for said reasons. And I don't know that list of reasons, but Kyle Rittenhouse, at least according to the judge, said that he falls within this these reasons. And I know someone's going to blow me up about this, like, oh, you said it wrong, so don't quote me on this. Do your own research on this part of it. But if he was under the age of 16, then he would fall into this. But since he's over the age of 16, he doesn't fall into this, which tells me that Kyle was using his constitutional rights, bearing a firearm. Okay, he was down there. Now, does the fact that him being down there open him up to being violently attacked? And I think that's what we're missing here. We're so wrapped up in either our political agendas or the polarization of this country that we forget the circumstances of the aggressor. Like, who is the aggressor in this situation?
Exactly. And I think that's why this case is so important, because there's a lot at stake when it comes to our rights and as citizens of this country. Can we honestly self-defend ourselves in a situation where somebody is trying to attack me or my family? Now, I go back and I say we have the right to defend our property on our own private property. So I want to clarify that. In public, laws are different from state to state. They say you can use reasonable force in certain situations, but
if they're trying to burn down my business, I feel like that's very reasonable.
Yeah, and that kind of and that actually kind of leads me to the point I was going to make, is that think about this, and like AJ alluded to it earlier, you've worked your whole life trying to establish a business for yourself, regardless of whether or not you have insurance or not. It doesn't matter. You've worked your whole life trying to make something for yourself, and you have idiots going out there because they're rioting over, and let's remember, they're rioting over something that was justified. So let's make sure we don't forget that people were rioting over something that ended up being completely justified by the police officers, which is almost a snapshot of what happened over the last few years. Now, granted, when George Floyd got killed, it was wrong, but they try to use that same George Floyd, emotion and riot for every single situation involving law enforcement in the community anytime force was used. And so that's one of the things that gets my blood boiling, is that these people were rioting over something that was completely justified. But secondly, if I've worked my whole life to establish my business and people are trying to burn it down over something that is stupid, which, especially if I have a family to take care of, I would be out there trying to defend my business. And so whether or not you agree with Kyle Rittenhouse being out there on his own to help people out, That's subjective. That's neither here nor there. The reality is that where the rubber meets the road is at that moment in time, the video we watched today, Kyle was on the retreat. People were going after him, throwing rocks at him, hitting him with a skateboard. Kyle needed to defend himself, and that's what he did. And sadly, 2 people ended up dying and another person was wounded. But you can make the argument that those guys should have never went after him. One of the guys tried to say, oh, well, I was going out there to save him or protect others from Kyle Rittenhouse,
so chasing him down. Well, and we kind of bring up should Kyle have been there? Well, what was everyone else doing there?
And,
to burn this mother down. That's what they were there for.
And that's what I was going to ask is at what point do you ask the same question to the opposing party? So, like people are questioning like, well, Kyle Rittenhouse shouldn't have been there. But
the other shouldn't have been there either.
And that's it. And that's exactly it. So the other person with the gun should have been there?
No. And so, yeah, you're right. And so I agree with that. The main reason I said Kyle shouldn't have been there is because you're 17 years old. Well,
it's dangerous. Yeah,
it's dangerous. I mean, our job as police officers is dangerous in and of itself. Like I wouldn't be out in a crowd, even in uniform. I wouldn't be out in a crowd by myself because of the dangers that go along with it. So my reasons of why Kyle shouldn't have been there is more so because it's dangerous and you don't know what type of situation you're going to put yourself and others in by you going out there. I get it. You have a good heart to defend people, but if you're going to go out there with a plan to defend people, you need to have a good strategic plan, or just let officers or whoever do their job, because that's what we're there for.
But wait, can I say something to that though?
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like the country would be better off if we had more people like Kyle Rittenhouse. So at that time and place, the federal and state governments were telling police like, stand down, let the mob happen. So not to get all like, hell yeah, brother, but like, let me read the Second Amendment. Now I'm going to read the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So when I hear, the government's telling police to stand down, there's a mob coming and literally burning everything. We are the militia. Every single one of us are the militia. And I don't have the stones to do what Kyle did. I'm not sitting here saying like I'm some guy who's going to run out there. I don't. I didn't do that, and I couldn't. But we're the militia, especially when our protectors are being told don't protect.
No, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that, because if we don't, that's how you start seeing countries fall, because you have these people like Antifa or whatever that start to take over, and nobody has enough cojones to step up and defend themselves and their property. That's why a lot of people forget why the Constitution was established. There was a reason why the Constitution was established.
To restrict government, not restrict us.
Exactly. And so that being said, I'm not saying that Kyle Rittenhouse shouldn't have gone out there because he was, he shouldn't have been out there. I'm saying that there's smarter ways to act and think reasonably when you're going into a hostile environment. Think about this, AJ, and any officer that is listening to this can relate. Anytime we go and do any type of operation, whether it be a search warrant, an arrest warrant, we're going into a hostile environment like a riot, we don't even go out there until we have an operations plan. And I'm not saying that Kyle and his crew didn't have an operations plan, but even if they did, I can guarantee you it probably wasn't super tight. And so they went out there with Lord knows what type of plan, putting themselves in a position that was dangerous. So that's why I'm saying that if Grayson told me today, and Grayson is my son, if he was 17 years old, I'm going out there, I'd be like, hold on, son. Hold on. Like, what type of plan do you have? Like, yeah, I know you got a rifle. That's all cool and all. But
going there. I'm be like, no, you're not.
Well, exactly. No, you're not. No, your butt is not.
Yeah.
But let's just say I was one of those gun-toting, families that's like, yeah, let's go do it. But what type of plan do you have to go in that? So that's why I say he shouldn't have been out there in the first place, because he didn't have a solid plan to go out there. But again, here nor there, he was there. He was under attack. People were hitting him with rocks, skateboards, you name it, deadly weapons. Does he have the right to defend himself? And if you ask me, he absolutely has the right to defend himself, and that's what this case is going to come down to.
So I want to read one of the closing remarks from the Assistant District Attorney, Thomas Binger. And he said, "You cannot claim self-defense against a danger you create. That's critical right here. If you're the one who is threatening others, you lose the right to claim self-defense." Then he goes on to say, after killing Anthony Huber, after severely wounding Gage whatever his last name is, the defendant walks away like he's some sort of hero in a Western without a care in the world for anything he's just done. Thoughts?
So my thoughts are, let's just talk about a fight. Two people get in a fight. I instigated. I started with Billy. Me and Billy get mad at each other. I started. I'm the one that's peacocking. I'm the one that's huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
So now me and Billy are fighting.
Yep.
Billy is stronger than me. He works out. He's fit.
Yep.
He now starts to overpower me.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a right to now defend myself against Billy, even though I'm the one that started the fight? If you ask me, I absolutely do, because now, even though I put myself in a dangerous situation, I still have the right to defend myself so I don't, one, freaking die.
So, yeah. So here we have something called a primary aggressor. Okay. And yeah, that's a perfect example. So, say there's two individuals, say you're at a bar, Ryan drinking, and Billy's at a bar, and you guys meet. Okay. Now you try.
I'm hammered drunk.
Yeah. And you guys are hammered. Okay. Ryan starts a fight with Billy. Billy, being the savage that he is, starts dogging Ryan. Okay. Now, despite Ryan starting the fight, right? So say Ryan walked up and pushed Billy. Billy's the savage. He tees off on him, knocks him out, gets on top of him, starts pounding.
With a roundhouse kick.
He roundhouse kicks him, gets on top of him, starts pounding his face in, drags him down the street a little bit more, beats the crap out of him. Guess what? You both are getting charged. You know why?
Mm-hmm.
Because in this case, Billy would be the primary physical aggressor, meaning that he had the opportunity to back down. He continued with it. His force was not even comparable to what he was presented with, which was Ryan starting the fight. Now, if Ryan walked up and pushed him and said, "I want to fight," Billy roundhouse kicked Ryan. Ryan falls to the ground, and then Billy just walks away. Ryan, you're probably getting charged with assault.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fact that you continued over and over again, you took it to the next level, you got on top, you started teeing off on him, you are now the primary physical aggressor. You're going to get charged with assault as well, and probably aggravated assault, because you're the savage and you did some serious damage here. So for me, at least, we have to take that into consideration. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we use the same principle. Okay. Ryan starts a fight with Billy. Billy's the savage. He starts teeing off on him. He's beating Ryan to Ryan's about to die. If Ryan doesn't defend himself, he's going to die. Ryan remembers, I have a knife in my back pocket. He pulls his knife out and he stabs Billy, because now he's in fear for his life.
Mm-hmm.
This is the situation that people are trying to create right now. Okay. So we'll use the Kyle Rittenhouse scenario here. Okay. So people are saying that Kyle created this danger. Okay. So we'll just say that he initiated. Okay. So now someone who initiated violence, and I can't find anywhere what his initiation of violence was.
You say Kyle initiated? No, but that's where I don't know if this applies, because he wasn't the aggressor.
But they were trying to say, that's what the prosecution is trying to say, that he is the one that started this whole.
They're saying, he's
but
the
all
one
the
who
evidence
created
shows
this
that they came at
danger.
him.
No, I know.
But
that's what the prosecution is trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll shut
So
up.
and you're good. You're good. This is because someone else might have been confused, and I might not be doing a good job at explaining it. So as the prosecution said, Kyle created this danger. Okay. So say he created this danger. Now, I can't really find anywhere what his danger that he created was, aside from him being present with the rifle. Okay. So we'll just say that's his danger. Okay. His danger was him being there with a rifle. So now you have a mob of people who are violently attacking him with deadly weapons. They are now what? The primary physical aggressor, which means that they are now in the wrong. Okay. When are you allowed to use deadly force on somebody? When you feel
if your life is in danger,
like your life is in danger, or if you feel like the life of someone else is in danger. Now,
absolutely,
I'll speak for me. If someone hits me in the head with an object, and that object is big enough to crack my skull, to knock me unconscious, to cause serious physical harm, Okay, so serious physical harm is an act of violence that will it'll leave a mark, it'll leave a scar, it'll knock you out, it'll cause brain damage, it'll cause internal bleeding. Like, this is serious physical harm. It's a stab, it's a shooting, it's a blunt weapon used against you. Okay, breaking bones, ripping biceps, stuff like that. Serious physical harm. Okay, if someone uses a weapon against me that I believe will cause serious physical harm, and I have a weapon on me, guess what I'm going to do to stop that person from using physical harm on me or causing serious physical harm on me? I'm going to use said weapon. So it's almost like the prosecution, and this is, my opinion on it. It's almost like the prosecution saying like, well, he started this, but we're ignoring the fact that this kid was hit in the head with a rock, a skateboard, and had a gun pulled on him.
Not only that, that's 3 felony. You have two assault with the deadly weapons. Actually, 3 assault with the deadly weapons, but you could also argue 3 or 2 attempted murders, an assault with the rock, and an assault with the skateboard.
Yeah,
and the third guy pulls a gun on him, which assault with a deadly weapon.
Well, and let's say there's no weapons even. I feel like 6 people coming at me saying did him, which they were.
Yes,
they got boots and shoes.
Yes.
So the other question to be asked in this is like,
very true.
The last thing I'll say in this is like, let's say Kyle doesn't fire a bullet from his gun.
Mm-hmm.
Will those guys be charged for what they did to Kyle?
No, because they're on the right side of social justice.
Well, even though that, despite the social justice, because that's a story for a different day, I still am confident that those guys will be charged with assault with a deadly weapon, attempted murder, whatever it is. If Kyle doesn't fire a bullet from his gun, I'm almost positive that those guys will be charged. No doubt about it.
You know why I think people are so upset with this case? I think people are so upset with this case because they believe that if Kyle Rittenhouse was a male black, that he would be charged and prosecuted, if not killed by the police on scene. Because if you remember, when this first happened, some of the major fuss from this video was the police drove right by him. He had a rifle on him. He had his, he was walking towards the police and the police drove right by him. Like, I think people were upset saying like, man, if that was a black man, that the police would have shot him because he had a rifle on him, or they would have tackled him because they knew that he would have been, the suspect. And I think that just eventually morphed into like this big mess of a case that we see now, because people are like, well, of course this white kid's gonna.
Well, and not to mention they were mad because they said, oh, they just took him into custody, no problem. Well, that's because he surrendered. Like he said, hey, I'm the one that did it. Yeah. But and we've talked about that many times before. Just because a person has killed people doesn't give us the green light all of a sudden to go and off somebody. People are like, oh, well, if he was black, they would have shot him or something like that. That's what was being argued when this first came out.
I just think we'd be like in a lot better of a place right now if that was what was talked about. And I'm not saying by any means that I agree with that. I truly believe that that's why a majority of people are upset about this case. And this is based off of conversations that I've had with people who are upset about this case. And that's normally what it comes back to. Like, oh, well, if he was a brother, he'd be dead or he'd be in jail right now. And I feel like if that was what was really pushed out there, because that's what people truly believe, that it wouldn't be as polarizing as it is right now. Because
I agree.
Because right now people are trying to make it seem like, okay, and this is just me putting myself in a hypothetical, me trying to understand a side that don't really understand right now. So if I believe that Kyle Rittenhouse was a male black, and that if he would have did this, that he would be dead or in jail, does that make it right that I think that I believe that now Kyle is white, he should have the same thing? Or should I just fight for, hey, no, we need for what's right to happen and for what's wrong to not happen.
And that's what we need to get. And that's
Does that
where
make
we
sense
need to
what I'm
get
trying
to.
to say?
Yeah, and that's where we need to get to as a country. Is we need to stop thinking from an emotional place, from an optics place. We need to start thinking what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. No matter what race, what creed you are, it don't matter.
It'd be
what
like,
does the law say?
Yeah.
And were you within the rights? Were you within your rights? Remove everything else from it, and that's where we need to get to. But sadly, we're not there. We judge and crucify based on what you look like or based on who you identify with. If you are a black guy, then we feel that you should be treated this way. If you are a Republican, we feel like you should be treated this way, instead of just saying everybody should just be treated this way no matter who you are. And that's why I think this case is so polarizing, is because of the optics of it. You have a white guy that shot and killed 3 people, and then for rightful reasons, if you ask me, but because he's about to get off, a lot of people are saying, well, if it was the other way around, this wouldn't even be a topic. This guy would be already arrested.
And it would be like, I guess it's like, I like to use analogies a lot because that's just how my brain works. It would be like if I had a big old dog, right? But my dog only bit black people. So I have Ryan and Billy coming over my house, right? They're flying in from California. They want to see my new place. But I tell them, I go, hey, just a heads up, my dog bites black people. and both of y'all are like, whatever. So they both walk in, and guess what happens? Ryan gets bit. But then the dog walks up to Billy and starts licking him. But now Ryan's pissed off, and he goes,
that's a racist dog.
No. But that's not what he's mad about. Now he's mad that Billy didn't get bit, and he wants Billy to get bit instead of correcting the dog's behavior.
That's good.
That makes sense.
That's really good. That's really good. And so I'll go ahead.
That's just where we're at with this right now. Like, instead of correcting the dog's behavior, we want Billy to get bit.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys one last example, and then we're going to end this up, wrap this podcast. I think this has been good though. But I went to a call a few years ago, actually about a year and a half ago, and the call came out as there were shots fired, and there were multiple callers. And anytime, and AJ knows this, anytime you get multiple calls, you start to realize like this is probably legit. Usually, sometimes you'll get one call and then like you show up and it's nothing. So it's like, oh, it's not that big a deal. But this time we got multiple calls. So anyways, we show up on scene, and sure enough, man, we get there and there's this dude just leaking out, like taking his last breaths on the sidewalk. He had got shot point blank in the forehead. So son is standing there, or his 10-year-old son is standing there watching this happen. And so now, at the time we're thinking, they're like, hey, the shooter's outstanding. So we're all looking, trying to set up a perimeter. Little do we realize the shooter turned himself in. It was an older guy, just older guy. He's like, hey, I'm the one. You guys don't need to look for nobody else. I'm the one that shot him. So we're like, wow, okay, that's interesting, because usually don't typically happen like that when you have somebody that shot another person. So long story short, the investigation reveals the deceased person, was a abuser of his wife, and he and his wife got into it that day. He basically calls his wife and says, I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna kill you. She calls her dad and says, hey, old boy is tripping again. Dad says, hey, I'm coming over to pick you up, so meet me around the corner. So she leaves the house, she walks around the corner, gets in the car with mom and dad. The dude pulls up to his house with his son in the car. She's not there, so he leaves the block to go look for him, and he sees his in-laws' car with her in it. So he pulls up next to the car. He gets out, and the deceased person gets out of his car, pulls a gun out, and shoots 3 times up in the air as he's walking towards the car that she's in. Now, mind you, he had already said that he was going to kill her. Shoots 3 times up in the air. The girl, her dad, who's driving, pulls his gun out, points it at the dude, shoots him point blank in his forehead, and drops him right there on the scene. The reason I bring that up is because we don't often hear about these legitimate self-defense cases. So initially you're like, man, this dude killed another person. We have to arrest this guy. Like, why would we not arrest him? He killed another person. Because we're so fixated on operating in this place. Guy shoots one person, guy dies. We now have to arrest the person that shot him and go on about our day, because that's what we're used to. We don't always hear about these legitimate self-defense cases. This case involving Kyle Rittenhouse was a legitimate self-defense case. If Kyle is on the run, he's on the retreat, these guys are trying to attack him. They hit him with multiple objects. A guy comes up with a gun. He needs to defend himself, and that's what he does. He kills 2 people, and he also wounds another. Did he stop the threat? He absolutely stopped the threat, because everybody else went away. So my last question for the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing is, how come those guys, because think about it, those guys, it's not like Kyle fired the weapon and then those guys came up after him and tried to stop him. No, that Kyle was on the retreat. He was running away. those guys, the first gunshot didn't go off until they had already attacked him. It'd be different. This whole thing would be different if, you know, Kyle starts shooting, pop, 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 and then those guys run up and try to stop him from shooting. No, he's on the run. They attack him and then he shoots. And so that's why I bring up that other examples, because in that case, we had to take a step back as investigators and say, no, this was pure self-defense. The guy comes up, the guy shoots his gun off in the air 3 times. You ask me, that tells me this guy means business. Now, it's not every day. It's not a normal person just doesn't walk up to you shooting a gun in the air while he's cussing at you. That's a pure case of self-defense. Therefore, we need to look at it through the lens of self-defense as opposed to arresting this guy for murder, even though the guy died. So that's just my personal opinion on it.
Let me look this up, because I think at some point, wasn't there a report that Kyle had fired his gun prior to the video?
I don't know.
You're not sure? Let me look this up real quick, just because I want to.
Yeah, make sure we're accurate. And while he looks that up, guys, I wanted to just tell you this was good, and we're going to start doing more breakdowns of, you know, high-profile cases like this. We did the one with Breonna Taylor, which was actually really good. And remember, too, me and AJ and Billy are not the end-all, be-all. This is information that we are talking about that we read up on. So it's not like, hey, I have all the notes from the attorneys and the DAs and everything else. No, we read articles just like you guys. We look through things from the lens of our own training experience, of what we experience as police officer, or what Billy's experienced just, you know, doing research on other cases. And then we just talk about and discuss it here. So I want you guys to take everything with a grain of salt, but just realize it comes from a place of our own experience, as opposed to this is the end all be all. But this is good conversation, and we want to know your opinions and your thoughts. And so once you guys listen to this podcast, maybe go onto our IG page. Maybe we'll post up a story,
or even comment on the YouTube video.
Yeah, and comment on the YouTube video. And I want to have a really good dialogue. So AJ, were you able to find that?
Yeah, it says he threw a plastic bag from the hospital. So someone threw a plastic bag at Rittenhouse and then moved towards him. Someone nearby fired a shot into the air.
And Billy, just to kind of go back to that.
Okay,
that
so maybe
point,
no.
What the prosecutors were trying to say. What the prosecutors are trying to say is that Kyle was the aggressor towards these guys. Like he had.
Right, I was misunderstanding.
They were trying to say, oh, like he made. I don't know if they said he made some threatening comments to him, but they basically tried to say Kyle instigated, because that's what the prosecutor turned to. He's like, well, you saw them earlier, didn't you? And you walked up to him. So they were trying to basically say that he instigated. But irregardless, we already talked about that. It don't matter whether he instigated it or not. At the end of the day, he has the right to defend himself. And if somebody comes up to me with a skateboard and a freaking rock and a gun, you better believe if I have the ability to defend myself with a gun, I'm absolutely taking it. And yo bad for trying to come attack me, bro. And so a lot of it is optics. A lot of it is because the dude there's so many things that are lumped into this case from an emotional and an optic standpoint that really press people's buttons. You have a lot of the anti-gun people that are like, oh, this dude had an assault rifle. Oh my goodness, what is he out there doing? So that's one thing that distracts people from the facts. The other thing is that you have a white guy that killed 3 people and essentially got bailed out. So you have that part that distracts people from the fact that this guy used self-defense. So you have a lot of things that are distracting people from what's real, and that's what's making this case so polarizing.
I wanted to share a really quick story, and I don't think I've ever told this story in like a public setting. So there's that. All right. So I'm in high school, okay? And at my school, we had like a pizza line. So that's where like he was balling. If he was in the pizza line, because the pizza costs $5, right?
$5.
So I'm in the pizza line. I'm with my homeboy, and this girl, this really tall girl, like she could have been in the NBA. She's like walking towards me. She's got like 2 of her friends behind her, and I knew her, but like I didn't know her. Like just kind of like passing, we would say what's up to each other, right?
Not in the biblical sense.
What was that? Oh, nah, nothing like that. So she walks up to me, and my nickname was White Boy in high school because I was like the lightest thing in the school that like people talk to, right? Because I went to a predominantly black school. So she's like, White Boy, and I was like, hey, what's up? And before I could even listen to her response, she socks me right in the face. Pow. So completely unprovoked, right? Like I never had a conversation with this girl like in depth before. Like she just socks me right in my face. Boom. So her friends start laughing. She takes off running. So when she hit me, my homeboy immediately grabbed me and like wrapped me up. Like, no, bro.
Because
like,
he knew.
Because he knew I was going to react probably,
he
right?
knew.
So he wraps me up and I kind of sit there and the whole lunchroom goes, ooh. So I'm like, I'm tripping. I'm like, why she punch me? It is what it is. I'm gonna get my
In
pizza.
the pizza line?
So in the pizza line, right? So I get my pizza, hit it with hot sauce ranch, eat it, right? Doing the whole thing. And I'm mad. Like I'm sitting there stewing. I'm like, yo, this girl really socked me for no reason in front of this whole cafeteria, right? So I'm like, it is what it is, right? Like I'm not gonna go hit no girl, right? So, or at least track her down to fight her, right? So the next period after lunch was my Spanish class, and it was with my same homeboy. So we would just leave lunch and we'd go up to Spanish together, which I flunked Spanish, by the way. So that is what it is.
Me too.
So anyway, so we go up to class, and I'm sitting down because I'm just like pissed, right? So I'm just like, I'm gonna sit down. I don't want to talk to nobody. I just, I got a lot on my mind right now. So I'm sitting there, and my homeboy goes, "Hey, she coming back. She coming back." So I'm like,
She wants some more.
so I'm
She
like,
I got a piece now. I want the whole thing.
so in my head, I'm like what? Like, is this real? So I walk out in the hallway, right? Class ain't even started yet. And she got a whole mob of people behind her, right? Like she gonna like fight me, all right?
What is going on?
So I'm like, all right, in my head, if she swing on me, I'm gonna duck it and I'm gonna just grab her and pick her up. That way she know, like, hey,
Swinging back.
like, hey, I'm a man. Like you feel how strong I am, right? So she does. She walks up and she takes this wild haymaker. Woo! And I duck it and I grab her. But when I pick her up, she had a backpack on it. It was full of books. So she was like back heavy. So we both start falling forward. Well, I start falling forward. She starts falling backwards. So I'm like, forget that. Like, I ain't caused this. So I just let her go.
Angie
like,
over here
boop.
fighting Baby D. Over here
So-
fighting Baby D.
Billy didn't get that. So I let go of her. Her backpack hits, and then her head hits the ground next. Boom. And it, you know the sound of like a head hitting the ground. Boom. It echoes throughout the hallway.
Yep.
The whole crowd goes, ooh. So my teacher sees what happens. She grabs me. Another teacher grabs me, and I get suspended. And I remember sitting in the principal's office thinking to myself, like, she attacked me once. I didn't do anything. And then she tried to attack me again. And I was like trying to defend myself, but I'm still in trouble. And like no one wanted to hear what I had to say. Like no one was like, everyone was like, well, you shouldn't have slammed her. And like my intent wasn't to slam her. Like my intent was to pick her up, remember? But she was heavy. And I was like, well, I ain't gonna fall with her because then I'm on the ground and her people might stomp me out. There's all this other stuff. There's a crowd around me, right? Like I don't know what's going on. Like, why is this happening? So I'm like, boop. So I just let her go. She falls, she hits her head. And I can't help but think about that story when we talk about this. I can't help but like think like I was legitimately and I'll bring my homeboy on the next podcast where I'll call him and have him. I'll put it on speakerphone so you can hear him tell the story because we still talk about it every now. Like, man, remember that girl socked you in your face for no reason, and then I didn't do anything, right? I removed myself from the situation. He helped, right? Like he really helped remove me from the situation. And then she came back for some more, right? Like I'm gonna hit him again, right? I don't know what her thought process was, and then I try to defend myself from the situation. She falls, she hits her head, and it's like automatically like I was the bad guy in there, and no one wanted to hear my story.
Did you ever find out why she hit you?
No, bro. So the funny thing is I got 3 days suspension. This is a funny story. I got 3 days suspension, right? So I come back from 3 days suspension, and I'm like, I ain't even gonna eat in the cafeteria. I'm gonna get my pizza and eat outside with two of my homeboys. One of my homeboys was the one who wrapped me up, just like my day one. And then the other one was like the only white kid in my school. And we took him under our wing.
You back?
we took him under our wing.
Bullying me, man.
So get this. I'm outside eating my pizza in like this like secluded area with my two homeboys. And I look up and I see a mob of people walking towards me. And guess who in the front? Her and the biggest senior football player. Like this dude was massive. And I want to say I was like a freshman or a sophomore when this happened. I was a freshman. And they're side by side. So I was like, oh, I know what this means. So I stand up. My homeboy Cordell stands up. And then the white boy sits down. And the dude walks up and he was like,
come on, man.
He was like, hey, he's like, you slapped my baby cousin on her head. And I was like, I sure did. I was like, she hit me in the face once and then she tried to hit me again. And he was like, and I heard you called her a B word. And I was like, nah, I ain't call her a B, but I was like, since you brought it up, I kind of gave him a look. And then before he can react, I just socked him. Like I already knew where it was going. I was like, bop, got suspended for another 3 days.
Oh my goodness.
Now this brings us to our next topic: women's rights. And if you really want to be treated equally, should AJ have uppercutted this woman?
No.
Bro, you know, I don't know if you guys have probably never seen the movie The Wood. I know AJ probably has, but it reminded me of that scene when Stacy comes to fight.
It's exactly what it was like.
But anyways,
that was exactly what it was like.
I don't want to digress, y'all. Y'all need to see
Yeah.
that. Yeah, you need to see that. But hey guys, this was a great podcast, and give us your feedback because we want to know what you guys think too. I mean, we wanted to discuss it just because all you see and all you hear about is this Kyle Rittenhouse thing right now. So we wanted to make sure we discuss it with you guys. But for the sake of time, we're gonna let you guys get back to your day. But before we do that, we just really want to send our appreciation out to you for just sticking around with it. I mean, we're approaching. Or we hit 3 years in September, and then the podcast is continuing to grow. Yeah, and man, I was tripping. I was pulling out of my driveway, and I was like, success is made through consistency. And sometimes, man, it's hard. Sometimes it gets, mundane. But we have been consistent with this podcast, no doubt about it. And I truly believe that one day we will be one of the top podcasts around, and that's only because of you guys. So we appreciate you.
And shout out to everybody that's like flagged me down like within the past 2 weeks and like brought up the podcast and like all the cadets, the recruits, the officers that I work with who like text me weekly, the people who hit me up on social media that like live locally. Like shout out to y'all too, because like y'all are literally the reason like why we do this. Like when we hear those stories, you're the reason I'm in the academy now. Like you're what I listen to on my commute to work every day. Like you are legitimately the reason why we do this every single week.
Yep. Absolutely. So same. My feelings are the same.
I was sent to one has to go if you guys want.
Oh yeah, please. Let's do it. Let's go.
Shout out to Katie. Thank you for this.
Let's do it.
So there's only 3. So one has to go.
Boom.
Donut. So it's like sweets. Donuts, Little Debbie Christmas tree cakes, or the Reese's cup pumpkins.
Oh, that's easy for me.
It's easy for me too.
Reese's got to go.
Oh my goodness, Ryan. Oh my God.
Reese's is my favorite, man.
Ryan.
What? America was built on Reese's peanut butter cups.
For Billy, everything is America. This is so
Ryan, you got rid of the Reese pumpkins?
Absolutely,
You're telling me you go buy Debbie Christmas tree cakes?
Bro, have you ever had one?
I feel like they're trash, is what I feel like.
I'm disappointed in both of y'all.
Bro,
right
y'all
now.
better not disrespect Lil Debbie like that.
Okay, first off.
Well, what is yours?
Okay, let's break this down. First off, donuts is a very broad. So you can have chocolate donuts, you got glazed donuts, donut sticks, bear claws.
Man, why are you making this complicated? Donuts are donuts.
That's what I'm just saying.
And they stay.
Okay, so donuts are safe. Okay,
donuts are safe, no doubt.
Listen to me. The best.
I like how she was specific though with the Little Debbie. She was specific.
Very
It wasn't
specific.
just Little Debbie snacks in general. It was the Christmas tree.
Because Christmas is coming up.
Christmas tree is bomb, bro.
Reese peanut butter cups are bomb. Probably one of my favorite snacks. But
the mixture of peanut butter and chocolate made by God.
The Reese pumpkins hit different. Oh my goodness.
So you're getting rid of the Little Debbie's?
Yes, bro.
You're getting rid of Little Debbie?
Mm-hmm.
Shame on you guys.
They don't even compare.
Shame on you guys. Matter of fact, as soon as I leave the studio, I'm going to the store and buying some Little Debbie's.
Aren't those like
Christmas
too
tree.
sweet? Like you eat one, you get a headache.
Negative.
Nah,
they're good.
Look at Billy all of a sudden, all fit all of a sudden.
I'm not fit anymore.
Don't you get like a headache when you have that?
Did you say
much
I'm not?
I love candy. I love candy.
I'm not fit anymore.
Billy is fitness bougie now.
He is fitness bougie.
I'm gonna create a definition.
I'm starting to wear my shirt open a little more, show my chest a little bit.
Billy is now fitness bougie. So, oh man, well, thank you for sending us. Is that Katie? You said?
Yeah, Katie.
Katie, shout out to you. Thanks for sending that in. We appreciate you, and I always love going back and forth with these guys. But hey, with that being said, guys, we're gonna let you get back to your day. We appreciate everything you guys do. We appreciate you guys going into the new year. Give us your feedback about the Kyle Rittenhouse, what you got to say, because we really are interested in hearing that. So with that being said, we love y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.